I'd say we're going to see the squeeze fade quite a bit from these two today.
I thought I had a fair chance, but maybe 1 in millions. Did I complete 180? No, I'm going there anyway. I thought I had a fair chance.
Welcome to the Squeeze Fade podcast. My name is Austin. It's been a few weeks. Dustin, how are you?
Good. Yeah, it has been, I think going on 3 weeks now, since our last one. Again, just, a lot of things in the works, a lot of things coming up, families and activities. So no, but it's been good. Gave us some time to watch some golf, play a little golf from your end. And I think we both have a new sport passion, that we kind of gained over the last few weeks. So, yeah, no, it's been good. Tell me a little, I mean, I know we talked a little bit about the NASCAR and, your trip to Arizona, but like dive into some of those analytics and the, conversations that you were able to hear, and tell us a little bit about that, because that was some cool stuff.
Yeah, so we were as part of my real job, not my hobby. We were able to go. We went to Arizona, took some customers to the NASCAR race down at Phoenix Raceway in Arizona. My company sponsors Trackhouse Racing, and one of the drivers, SVG, was the car that we sponsored for that race. And never been to a NASCAR event, first time. Obviously, growing up in Texas, know what NASCAR is, but I've just never been interested in the sport at all.
Yeah, a lot of left turns.
That's all I thought, and a lot of crashes and a lot of left turns. But getting there, and so we go get there really early, meet our customers. They take us back to the trailer where all the engineers and drivers are all doing their meetings and getting ready. And we're just kind of hanging out by everyone. Like this would never happen with any other sport, And so the driver comes out, and the customer's like, "Oh man, what's your favorite track?" And he's like, "Well, I hate this one." And I was like, "This ought to be good," And so the driver is actually from New Zealand, so he grew up on he grew up on, I think they call it like rally cars, and so it's all street racing and all that, and so he doesn't like going in an oval. That's what this race was. But the access is crazy. It's nuts. We're just, walking back into the garages where all the cars are parked. They're getting everything ready. And then, before the race starts, we go out onto the track and stand right by the car for the national anthem. We have the bombers going right over our head it's about the most American thing you can do, I think, is be at a NASCAR event. And,
for sure.
They had a chaplain doing a prayer right before that. So it's like just a NASCAR, kind of a good values for sure. But the people watching was great. And then, so we do that. He gets in the car. We're taking pictures with the guy right before he gets in the car. Like, that would never happen with any other sport. And then, so we make our way over to pit row, and we're up like literally a foot or 2 feet behind the pit, the crew chief and all his engineers. So we're just sitting in the box, like we're just like, "Hey man," and they're all, they're out there making these crazy decisions, and we have the headphones on so we can hear all the interaction between the spotter, who's sitting way up at the top of the stadium, and he's the one telling the driver, 2 on the outside, 1 on the inside, 2 here, 3 here, 2 here, you're good. And like this whole constant conversation for like 3 straight hours. And, but I really didn't realize how much decision making goes into when to pit. Are you going to do 2 tires or 4 tires? You only have a limited number of tires that you can put on for the race. And so, you have all these cautions and have you been into F1 at all? Cause I've got into that a little bit, but, that's the decision making on kind of when to pit and all that. I thought was only like an F1 thing. I thought NASCAR was just like, hey, everyone pits at the same time.
Yeah.
But one of the interesting things is they changed the rules recently. So if for some reason you wreck and you have to come in, you basically have a chance at the next caution. If you are the leader of the people who are like a lap down, you can then catch up. You're now through the next caution, you are now caught up with the leaders. And so he had a like, it was just, I couldn't keep up. Like I honestly could not keep up with what was happening. But finally at the end, there's about 20 laps left. He's in, I don't know, 20th place, 21st place. And they're like, hey, we're going to do two outside tires. Everyone else is stopping for 4. And after he pits, he's in 9th. So they saved, I don't know, point a half a second or 1 second, and they jumped that many people. And then basically he was just trying to hang on from that point, because all the people with 4 tires are just trying to rip by him for the last 20 miles. But overall was really, really interesting. I think the best place to view NASCAR is from the actual stands, not from that viewpoint, because all you're really seeing is just cars just whizzing. Like you can't really see the track.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I'll say is most all the pit crew are like former NFL players, former wrestlers. It's like an extremely athletic sport, because those guys are literally flying over the top of the car and they're doing everything under 8 seconds. It's nuts, but overall, great experience.
Yeah, no, it's sounds super interesting, and the more I hear about it, it makes you kind of want to go and watch one and get the experience. And my mom's big into NASCAR. I grew up a little bit like watching Jimmy Johnson and Earnhardt Jr. and Jeff Gordon, and but have never been, and didn't understand the strategy aspect as well. I understood a little of like the F1 and how that works, and assumed that some of that would translate over to NASCAR. But yeah, they get a rap of like, oh, they're just, a bunch of dumb guys driving a car, as fast as they can. And it's like, no, there's a lot of, you have to be a great communicator. Like you have spotters, you have, pit crew chiefs that are in your ear, and there's a lot of skill set that goes into that, and the training that you saw the F1 racers do with like their neck training and G-force training, and like it's very similar to what they have to do in NASCAR, and pretty insane. But I agree with you too, like the best viewing is up high when you can see the a broader view of things. And I know my mom and a few friends have gone, and they usually go into the inside of the racetrack. I think that would be a cool experience as well, and sounds like that's super rowdy.
And that's where we were. There was a Craig Morgan concert right before, which he sings like International Harvester, Redneck Yacht Club, like just great. Oh, just great. Great NASCAR stuff. And then so when he first started, he's only been, I guess, running whatever this is, Sprint Cup Series or this series for 3 years. He grew up rally car, and the first spotter he had kept saying like, hey, oh, there's a car a foot on your right, 2 feet on your left. And he's like, mate, I don't know what you're saying. Like, he's like,
I don't know feet.
Yeah.
Give me meters.
You're gonna have to tell me car lengths or something. I don't know what you're saying, mate. And it was awesome. So, the other piece, the piece I love the most, when there's a caution, they're, have to follow the pace car and however many laps till they clean stuff up. And that's another thing. You can't stop that. Like you pit, but like if there's a caution or if there's stuff on the track, you can't, you have to just keep driving. So they could be, doing this pace car for 5-10 laps, and that counts as laps. And then, the pace car will exit, and whoever's leading gets to decide basically when to start. There's this like green zone. And so, you have to drive the same speed. And then when that first car gets into the green zone, they could push the gas there, or they could wait till the very end of the green zone to slam on the gas and go. So the spotter is like relaying to the driver, wait. And then like, as soon as the lead car presses the gas, everyone goes. But it's
Interesting.
kind of a
How,
strategy.
is there like, do they have monitoring systems of like, hey, they just press the gas, or are they watching like as they
It's all
take
the
off?
it's all the spotter, because you can see the zone on the track, like it's a massive green zone, and it's kind of a strategy because sometimes if you press it right when you get in, you may catch someone off guard not paying attention, or if you wait till the end, like it's a so but it's kind of like that low hum of they're just kind of going in, they're probably going 80 miles an hour instead of 180, and then all of a
Yep.
sudden it's just they press the gas and the noise level goes way through the roof. It's awesome. Yeah. But overall, really really good experience.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like I said, I didn't even know you were taking part in that when we talked last on the podcast, and leading into second topic of Arizona, as we described last episode, the hardest possibly place to schedule golf, coordinate golf, especially as a PGA professional. That
I
we've
think it's
both
actually a
experienced.
hindrance if you're a PGA professional to schedule
100%.
golf in Arizona, and
Yep.
they're proud of desert golf down there. And of course it's the busy time of year. The weather's good, and a PGA professional just does not have you're just not going to play like a decent property. It's
Yep.
So we ended up playing where we stayed, which is Arizona Grand Resort, one of my customers. And so your typical resort desert property, the front nine was actually no desert at all. It was more like
Parkland.
parkland homes. And then you switch to the back nine and it's target golf. It's massive like par threes going downhill, desert everywhere. Um, I left my driver at home, which is great. That was kind of the play
Smart.
there, and just had a good time hitting hybrid 3-iron, hit some 3 woods off the tee. Had a couple shanks, like, had the full spectrum of everything you could do for not playing golf in a while. A couple birdies, couple shanks. But overall, I mean, I see why people go to Phoenix in the wintertime. It's the sun. It's really good weather, but golf course is fine. It's nothing.
Yeah,
You're not going to go there to play that, but if you're staying at the Arizona Grand, it's a great place to play.
for sure. Yeah, and I think to the point of like challenging golf, we talked a lot about this, and Arizona especially has a lot of people chasing professional golf, a lot of mini tour players. You have a ton of influencers, YouTubers down there. Pretty much everyone's asking for free golf in Arizona, as well as, I guess, club companies, right? You have TrackMan's headquarters there, Ping's headquarters there. So you have a lot of very golf centric people, and a lot of those people, if not all, are asking for free golf every day.
Yep.
So a lot of those courses are more shut off to that accessibility, and unfortunately, and some of our conversations more recently, like the game of golf is becoming very crazy in price.
Yep.
And because it's such a nice time of year, and the rest of half the country is under snow and not able to play, like their prices really go up that time of year. So it's a tough place. But there are some great golf courses there. And I will say, a lot of desert golf looks the same. There's certain aspects that can differentiate, but I played a handful of courses and couldn't tell you if you showed me 4 images which course they were from.
Right.
They all blend together.
Yeah, it's and I was thinking about it from some of the context I know there, just from working in that area with TrackMan. And tell me if I'm wrong, it feels like more of a teaching like culture, as far as you have all the teaching pros that descend there in the winter to try to teach, and it's not as much of, oh, you got all these storied head pros there, and maybe there is, and I just don't know, but it seems like there's a massive like teaching pro community there. You think that's fair?
100%. Yeah. Again, with all the people chasing the game professionally and just an avid golf community in general, right? You have a lot of junior golf, big shots coming out of that area. So a lot of people are taking lessons. I have a couple buddies that are instructors down in Phoenix, and I mean, they kill it. They have all kinds of NFL players and MLB players and NBA players in taking lessons. And I mean, it's a very popular spot in general, but especially this time of year. You get a different side of the clientele. And so, yeah, a lot of lessons happening in that part of the world. There's, like you said, a very big instructor, group down there. And there's a lot of unique setups too. Like, I don't know how it is in Kansas City. I would assume it's very similar to how it is in Minnesota, but pretty much every course has a director of instruction up here. That's who's teaching the lessons, maybe a few assistants and the head professional from time to time. But the DOI is the man or woman on the spot. Like, they're the ones doing the lessons. Down there, you have more of like an academy setup.
Yep.
So some courses will have 10 bays and 10 different instructors that are renting those bays, and they're each treating it as their own facility. You have a few that they teach out of multiple facilities and different days of the week, kind of like the medical industry, how doctors can travel around to different facilities. So it's a very different and unique setup. And then to your point, like, you have a lot of snowbirds, right? They teach up here or somewhere seasonally in the summer, and then they go down there during the winter and teach. So yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. And I think you and I both have run into this. Like, hey, I have a buddy that's an instructor at this golf course, and like, I'm going to call out there and try to get around. And, hey,
Yeah.
he doesn't work here. He's a contractor.
Yeah.
Like, he pays the same as you do. So,
and some of those properties are so busy and big that like the academy or the, whoever, even if that person works for the club, they're so removed from day-to-day golf.
Correct.
The members come down and get the lessons. They sell merchandise, but they're not going to the golf shop. They're not, they're not dealing with tee times or doing any of that. So it's there's a handful of places I would like to play in Arizona that I really didn't get a chance to, when we were down there. I think I played Silverleaf once as part of the TrackMan range stuff. I know Wekopaw is a pretty popular like public facility, which is really hard to get on, this time of year.
For sure.
Yeah. But another thing that is kind of separate from that, there's a new golf ranch down there. It's called the Golf Ranch. I'm not sure if you've heard of this company that's kind of they're essentially buying old dilapidated like driving ranges and putting, just like what we saw when we worked at TrackMan. You have covered bays, screens, trying to make it the not the anti-top golf, but like a little bit more of some place that you'd want to go practice, but still selling beer and all that. They have one up here in Kansas City, probably 15 minutes from my house. It's Top Tracer. This was the first one I saw that is actually TrackMan down in Arizona, and they have a 9-hole golf course with it. So I thought that was kind of interesting when you talk about trying to find places to play, trying to find, if you're 15 years old in Arizona, that may be the place that you go play 9 holes and go hit some balls when obviously you're probably not going to get on anywhere else, but yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, like, in conversations with some TrackMan buddies, they're playing in the Grass Clippings League and seems relatively affordable. There's a couple like industry courses that'll host like industry skins games on Mondays or Sundays and different days of the week. So it's, if you live there, it becomes a little bit more of a community, and like, you can get in with different groups and go play different places. And but I think as a tourist, especially this season, like, good luck.
Yep.
I had a client that, or a member at the club that was down there a couple weeks ago. I haven't caught up with him since he was there, but chatting with him, like, where are you playing? Do you have the round set up? And he's like, oh yeah, they got the round set up like 4 months ago. Like they had done this before. They knew the process. They were ahead of the ball. But they also knew, like, it's $300 to play a pretty average golf course. Like it's just the way it is. So, you can make it fun. And I do hope that they have, junior programs and accessibility like we saw at the park and places like that. But I think, and we'll definitely get into this later in the episode, but I think honestly the future of the game, and I have a fun question for you later too, are these like off-course type properties, right? Whether it's indoor golf, whether it's a driving range, a short course, just technology. Like, I think that is the future of the game, especially with how outlandish some of the prices are that we've seen as of late, whether it's public resort, private clubs. It seems like the average person that loves the game is getting further and further from playing the game.
Yep.
And you're seeing, as we talked today, like more of the, the bar stool crowd, kind of taking the spotlight in a lot of the rounds, and, maybe diminishing some of those experiences, at some of these really cool courses that, otherwise wouldn't. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So overall, I mean, great trip. Like, it was fun to at least swing the clubs a little bit. We're both kind of in a spot where you're not really playing outdoor golf at the moment. I mean, it's getting there, but that I want to dive into your other off course experience. There's a little bit of what we're covering today. We got PGA Magazine. Really looking forward to diving into this. We're gonna talk. You hinted at it, some indoor golf, different technologies, public versus private, and then may talk some TGL and just get our feedback on it. But take me to the land of curling.
Oh, well, first and foremost, similarly to golf, was invented or started in Scotland. The history that I learned is when the ponds would freeze over and it would rain and you get the droplets, that's how the curling stone became a thing, because if it's on flat ice, it doesn't move very well. So they just kind of had the geography for it to work out. And then I can't think off the top of my head. I think and apologies for any curling enthusiasts out there, but I believe it's Elisa Craig Island, where all the curling stones for the Olympics are mined from and made from, is right next to a few golf courses Miles and I have dug into. So trip number 2 or 3 down the road, maybe we'll make a stop and see some curling history. But it was it's the first time in a long time that it was the first time to play a sport, right? To be a novice, a complete noob, have no clue what I'm doing, and actually like put my learning cap on. In the game of golf, I'm always trying to learn. We're always trying to learn and get better at our craft and playing and teaching and whatnot. But to walk in and not even know rules or the true scoring and how things work on that front, and etiquette, like they have their whole etiquette side. It was fascinating. And we had a friend that here locally is a curler since day one. He's Scottish roots, so he was born into curling. He's been doing it his whole life, very competitively as well. And it was interesting to see like how good he was just every time, wherever you wanted that stone, it was there. And so we got a great instructor. He was obviously a PGA professional and has a history of teaching lessons. And But he was able to correlate that to the golf swing and, our mechanics. And he started with us just pushing the stone across the lane to each other to understand, how you curve the stone. And, it started there, and then we started with or moved into like how to take off and how to launch yourself and toss the stone. Then he let us actually toss it, and then we learned how to sweep. And I mean, it was incredible. Like, I am fascinated with the game. It seems that if you're a good putter, you could be a good thrower. I disagree, because I'm a not great putter, and I was able to get the throwing down fairly well. Maybe
you
this
sent me a
summer's
video
hot.
that was very nice.
Yeah, I mean, and that was like 4 throws in. And so like you gauge that distance really well. And one interesting thing that he said, to the point of like the speed and how things work, is he said, imagine this is from a golf perspective. So I guess before I get into that, we were at Chaska Curling Center, which is where the Olympic team practices to some extent. They have non-ionized water droplets, so it's a pure roll. And the way he described it is, your first round of golf is at Augusta. Like, this is one of the fastest greens or fastest sheets of ice in the world. And so, that's cool. Like, that place you can go and get a membership and rent times. And it's basically, one of the best places in the world for curling. So, or in the US for curling. And, so that was incredible as well. It's an amazing facility. I've already dug into memberships. I've dug into curling shoes. I've dug into brooms. I am deep. I haven't made any commitments yet, but it's about 80% of what I think about now is how can I get back on the ice and curl a little more.
Which is so interesting because, as a complete outsider to that sport, I didn't even know that. I thought that's just an Olympic thing. I didn't know you could actually go somewhere and be a member and all
Same.
that, which is amazing.
Yeah. And it's we were there early on a Tuesday, Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, something like that. It was a couple leagues going on. So it was kind of an older crowd. There's a few younger guys and gals there. But yeah, they were, 9 a.m. just screaming at the top of their lungs, hard, and like, it was insane. And then you had one guy over on the other side taking a lesson. They have a bar that like butts up to it. So big glass windows on the back. You can look out and watch people curl. It's insanely popular up here. And so I'm glad that I was able to finally jump into it. I watched it in the Olympics, maybe the last like 8 years or so, maybe 12 years. There's a U.S. team that, the dads that got in a couple years ago that was fun to watch. But Barlow back in college was a big curling fan, so we'd always watch it in college. So I've always been intrigued and interested, but like you, I had no clue of how intricate it was, and like the etiquette side. You're not supposed to be in their line, just like putting. You don't want that visual deceptiveness, and when can you sweep, and it was just. Yeah, there's a lot of cool things to learn. It's not a huge learning curve like the game of golf. So you can get into it and have a lot of fun relatively quickly. But sounds like a PGA League's in the works for next fall. I'm really jacked up. Hope I can make the cut on that.
Were you sweeping at all, or just like, how does that work?
So he ran us through everything, right? We threw for a while, and then he started to sweep and kind of show us a little bit on the sweeping. Then he threw and kind of taught us how to sweep and showed us that. So we did a little bit of everything. I probably should have done a lot more sweeping. that is an intense workout. Like you trying to keep up with this thing, stay in front of it. You can't touch it. And just as aggressively as humanly possible, push this ice down. An interesting thing he said was an average Olympian can get, I think he said somewhere around 12 extra feet of not rollout, but you know what I mean, extension on the throw, whereas an average amateur can get about 6 feet, or a high level amateur maybe can get around 6 feet of that extra rollout. So, you know, watching them, like, that is a huge skill, is how well they can sweep, and then the direction you sweep is insanely important. You know, if you're cutting across the direction of the curl, that's slowing it down. If you're going with it, that's adding curve. Like, there's just so many different nuances there. And I will say the only time I fell that day was while I was sweeping, because I was confused at what direction I was supposed to be sweeping, and I just, feet went under me. So yeah, it was, which, side note, TrackMan reference, Jason Mattingly told me was, insane that I didn't fall on the throw or the push, but I did fall on the sweep. So, shout out J Matt.
Awesome.
But no, it was a blast. Highly recommend it for anyone that has access. It is a very fun sport if you're into, you know, kind of relaxing, a little bit of aggressive workout with the sweeping here and there, and then some heavy drinking, which I didn't get to enjoy and don't, luckily, but yeah, it looks like an amazing sport for all those things.
Well, I'm interested to keep up with maybe the league for you next year, and yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, membership is again looking into that. So there may be some, you know, 9 a.m. live streams on Saturday from the ice. We'll see how it pans out.
I think we definitely need to see that for sure. Awesome. So let's maybe get into PGA Magazine Analysis. So
love it. I've been waiting for this.
I've been looking forward to this. This, as a little context, PGA Magazine for most of us is, and that's the one we're going over right there, the coaching issue. Most of the time it comes in the mail and it goes right into the trash. That's, if you ask any PGA professional, that will be the answer. Is that thing rarely makes it, you know, even open or on your dining room table for more than, you know, 5 minutes. But I thought about it, looked through it one time, and I'm like, man, there is a lot of ads.
At what point, by the way? Because you and I have been talking through this analysis for a couple years at least. So how long ago did you start this analysis process?
I think formally very recently, but I've been, you know, flipping through it, and I would probably text you or call you like, you know, I can't even read this thing because there's so many ads in it, or, you know, why are we paying dues when there's, you know, so many ads in this? But I thought it'd be fun exercise to just go through the book, figure out how many ads, you know, what's the total percentage of ads, any fun nuggets that I find out of there, and would love to get your opinion on it from, you know, your past. If you read it, do you keep them? Do you throw them away? What's kind of your go-to?
I've saved one throughout my 15, 16 years as a PGA member, and it's probably the same one you saved. It's when I was listed in there as as getting my membership. So 2010, I think June, magazine. So outside of that, I would, during my TrackMan days, I would open it and see who the new members in the section were. Just in case there was any, you know, people I could reach out to or connect with at new facilities. And then I always read the the member updates for the quarter century to see if there's anyone I know there to congratulate. I have maybe read half of an article once and could tell that it was written anti-TrackMan. So this was back in those days, and I was like, this is a waste of my time. Like, it's obvious. This is propaganda at the highest level. And I've always, similarly to you, kind of noticed like, okay, there's something wrong with how many ads there are in this magazine. Luckily it's free for us, but
yeah,
it
well,
just
kind
it's
of free.
astonishing. Kind of free.
Yeah. So before I get into the stats of this, there are a couple interesting things I'd want to get your opinion on. Thinking back to my first head pro at Craig Ranch, he would open up this magazine and go straight to the obituary section just to see.
At one point, we might be at that
Right.
stage too.
Just to see, does he know anyone in that section? And then he'd throw it directly in the trash after that. The thing that drives me crazy, and we've talked about this, is that a PGA Tour player is a PGA professional. We went through all of the books, did the everything to become a PGA professional. So I did want to congratulate Charlie Hoffman for becoming a PGA member.
Reinstated, right?
Reinstated, I believe. Yes. Neil Shipley, probably first time as a PGA member. Blades Brown out of the Tennessee section.
Big
He's
time.
so
is he quite possibly the youngest PGA professional? I think he's 17.
Yeah.
Took me 5 years to go through that program, and beautiful.
Yep.
And now he's qualified to play in his local section events.
Threes. Yeah, so I mean, if he has a week off, anyone in Tennessee may see him show up at a section event. So, but yeah, no, that's a piece I really don't understand why there has to be that cohesion between PGA Tour and PGA of America on that aspect. It really devalues the PGA professional.
100%. I mean, we've had this conversation in the past, likely just the way they did it back in the 40s, 50s, whenever it was, and they haven't updated that. But yeah, I mean, it's mind-boggling, and for 98%, 99% of those people, it doesn't matter. It doesn't impact us negatively. But there are a few people that's how they get their PGA accreditation, and then once their career's done, they go into teaching, and now they're PGA professionals, or they play in section events. I think they have a rule now where they're not allowed to play in national events at a certain level of tour status. But it does not make sense. Like that, Tiger Woods should not have the same PGA Class A membership as I do. It, again, doesn't benefit him or affect me, but really just doesn't even make sense that that's still a thing.
What is your thoughts on the Omar Orestes, the what's the guy recently in Dallas?
Matt, is it Matt or
no? He had that he had the podcast the For the People pod. I'll think of his name eventually, but he's playing in section events. Like, is there a time frame where you're like, okay, it's all right, or if they played in one PGA Tour event, you're kind of out?
I think there's probably a time or a number of events or a money threshold that needs to be set. And I truly think it's any section event, not just national events and higher level events. Like, I just don't want to go to a pro-am or to a section. There's not a ton of events up here that are accessible, but like a team event or whatever it is, assistant event, and like play somebody that is shooting 64s, 65s. Like that it's not fun for me. It's not fun for a lot of the PGA professionals. That money still goes to them in certain aspects. So it's like, yeah, I'm not a supporter of it. I think there's got to be a fix for that. And I think the start is like, you don't get a PGA Class A PGA membership. If you played who cares if you played 50 or 20 years on the PGA Tour, and then you want to go do your books and get your Class A and teach, like, fine, like, you
Right.
earned it at that point. Still sucks that that's who we have to compete against, but at least it was earned versus just a charitable gift.
Like you said, it had to be, back in the day, those pro, like Ben Hogan and all, they were all like pros at a club, and it was more, I don't know if it was figurehead or teaching or whatever it was, but they were essentially like the pro. And so I'm sure that's where it started, and we could probably dive into that more. But there's a definitely difference between the Michael Block situation, which he's just obviously a really good
It's
player,
a really good player.
but he's also been working in the golf industry for a long time, and it's JJ Colleen, versus that, and Omar, who played, 150, 250, 300 plus PGA Tour events, and then now that they're not good enough, they're just beating up on the PGA of America professionals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic, and I think our qualms with the PGA, that's definitely on the lower level of importance, but just because neither of us really play in a ton of events. But
Sure.
but yeah, I mean, imagine being like an up and coming PGA professional. You're 22 years old. You barely passed your PAT. You want to go out and have some fun, and you play a career round, and you shoot, 72, 73, 71, whatever, and then you get beat by 12 or 8 or 6. It's like, oh, that
Yep.
was fun. Like, I don't want to come back and play in section events anymore. So there's a little dynamic there of, we have to make it competitive for the better players in the sections, and make it a little more enjoyable. But again, they have solved a lot of the challenges of, like, from the national perspective, if you want to qualify for the PNC or whatever they call it now, that you have to be a PGA professional, not former tour or whatever the rules are. But I think you're right, though. A deeper dive down the road of the historical aspect of that, and, like, where did it start? Did it start in, I think, 1929 when the organization was founded, or did it come about, during the Hogan era, and why it's still done to this day?
And it does seem like for the PGA of America to get back to kind of caring about the members and going that route, it's probably going to take some form of true separation of, like, okay, we're about our members. We're not trying to be the PGA Tour, or and I know they've tried to do that with the logo and all this stuff that
Which
they've done.
looks more like the PGA
Right.
Tour logo than it did previously.
But it's the problem is there's so much money involved now, and the club manufacturers and the PGA of America and USGA and RNA, they're all kind of combined on all this now, and so this kind of leads me into the stats here, which is
please do.
Yeah. So, want to give a quote from Don Rea. He always has a from the president section. Really, the only time we get to hear from him now that he's kind of been sidelined because of Bethpage. But he said, another critical vehicle to help promote the latest trends in teaching and coaching is the PGA Magazine. And so that leads me into how many ads we have in here as someone's trying to learn about teaching and coaching. So including the front and back cover, the one magazine that you held up earlier, it's 120 pages. Full page ads, 51 pages of full page ads. Those are not a single piece of content on that page except an ad.
Here, we'll just randomly choose a page, and look, full page ad.
There it is. Yep. And there's an additional 7 pages outside of that just have a small ad on the page as well. So that gives us 58 total pages out of 100 and 20. So we're at a 48.33% of this magazine has ads. So if you're trying to find information, you're going to have a lot of flipping.
You got about
and
a
this,
50% chance to find what
right,
you're looking for.
right. And this also does not include the 5 pages at the back of the magazine that just list all the partners and
That's my favorite part.
that pay for something else with the PGA.
That is always my favorite part is, oh, what do we have, Coca-Cola this week or Pepsi? So here's
Yep.
our paid sponsors.
Yep. So I think this deserves a deep dive into, okay, what's this money doing? What is our dues doing? We had a conversation earlier this week. My section dues are going up because of cost of living. Well, what does that mean? For the set, like what are they doing in the section that is, are our dues specifically paying for every salary in the section? Those are things that I think we need to get to the bottom of.
For sure.
And we probably won't figure it out because they have closed books, but I think we can figure something out. So yeah, that wraps the data side of the PGA magazine. What are your initial thoughts on the number of pages there?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we talked about this the other day. I randomly opened to a page, and I turned the page 6, maybe 7 times, and there was an ad on like 85% of those pages. I think more than that. There's one page that was actual content, and the rest of them were full page ads. It was towards the front, which is always kind of that way, but yeah, it's if that's our tool for learning, is described by Don Rea. What a travesty of a tool. And I understand that, not many people read that. Could you
Right.
make it better? Could you make it more engaging? Could you make the content more meaningful and get more impact? Maybe. I think the world's a little more digital now, and you're seeing a lot less people actually even notice this magazine anymore. So I can understand or relate to that to some extent, but the fact that, yeah, it's being sold as tool and beneficial, and there's a lot of biases in the book or in the magazine, in the articles, and you can generally tell, like, this is a lot of fluff, or this is an ad hidden as an article. And I think we noticed that in a lot of the email communication too, is from the PGA, from the sections. It's, every day we've partnered with somebody new, and here's the contact if you want to buy this product or tool or promote this at your club, and blah blah. It's everything seems to be in advertisement, or hidden in really is an advertisement. So
And I feel like
it's disheartening for sure.
And we used to notice that with TrackMan, where there'd be an article about indoor golf tech or driving range tech, and they would specifically call out Top Tracer by name, or Foresight, or whoever was the partner at the time. And then you would occasionally see a TrackMan reference, but a lot of times it was a radar-based technology. They would try to hide the name because TrackMan refuses to pay.
Doesn't pay.
Yeah, and so if you're ever looking, why are they pushing this product? Just probably go to the 5 pages at the back of the magazine, and you'll see why they're pushing it.
A fun historical fact on this. When I first started at Golf Tech 12, 13 years ago, whatever that was, they did not sponsor the PGA of America. And they were, back then, you had to be at a green grass facility as your first job out of college to get your PGA Class A membership. And they were not allowing at that time people who went to Golf Tech from PGM schools to get their Class A. They had to, there was some workaround, or they had to do additional credits, or there was something involved in that process. Meanwhile, at that time, I think they employed 150 to 200 PGA professionals. and they couldn't get any support from the PGA of America. And now if you watch anything PGA of America related, all you see is Golf Tech ads, the sponsored by tournaments, et cetera, et cetera. And now they're, they have given their money, given their dues to the PGA of America, and all of a sudden the PGA of America allows their, them to be members when they start joining, and things change. And so if you ever want to make an impact in the golf world, just pay the PGA of America, and you're going to get promoted, guaranteed.
And if you remember, one of the biggest issues the leaders had at TrackMan, at least in America, was how many PGA professionals they employed at that time, similar to Golf Tech. And I would have to guess it was probably one of the top in the golf industry as far as manufacturers or sales reps, because a lot of times these giant companies are hiring people to sit in a warehouse or sit in a call center, and TrackMan really prioritized at that time hiring PGA professionals to go work with the golf pros and work with the golf courses to to roll out this product. And we got nothing from the PGA of America, and even thought this would translate to having more of a footprint at the new PGA headquarters with TrackMan Range, and ended up going with Top Tracer because of the partnership with Top
Paid
Golf.
partnership.
Yep. And it's when you start unraveling all that, I don't know how, really you have, like you said, you have to pay the PGA to even be in the ball game.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's, like I said earlier, it's disheartening, that the industry and the organization has gone in that direction. And maybe it's for the better. Maybe in the old days of old, it was, just scraping by, no money, no, tournaments, no accessibility, whatever. And maybe that's helped fund it. And we just haven't been able to see enough of the financial analytics behind it to say, oh, maybe this is a good thing. But perception is not good. It seems that there's a lot of money received and a lot of money paid out to friends and family, and and PGA members are just kind of left by the wayside to fight for the scraps. So
yeah, there's I think there's a couple guys on LinkedIn that I've been tracking. I think we're gonna try to get them on.
Cannot wait for those days,
because they are demanding some transparency from the PGA of America, and very consistently as well. So we're going to try to get them on. I think that would at least give some other perspective into maybe some more history behind why they're doing what they're doing. But yeah, no, it's the PGA Magazine is such an interesting thing of also why it's still going. I this last year I have a couple episodes of the Golfer's Journal, and which is one of the only other magazines that I have at this moment. And they have 4 or 5 presenting ads at the start of their magazine, and then it's just straight stories after
Content.
that. There's no so they've worked it out to where I'm sure those people pay a premium to be the one of 5 people that sponsor that magazine. And because right now it's like, I mean, it's random golf nets and, devices that attach to your belt that don't make sense. And, just, it's like, well, how are these people getting a return on the ad money that they're spending? But,
well, and also maybe it's changed, but back in the TrackMan days when we paid a little more attention to it, I think every major technology company advertises in that magazine except TrackMan.
Yep.
So you have Full Swing, HD, About Golf, Foresight, Golf's On, Unicore, like every single one of them was in there as a paid ad. And then, generally the pictures in the articles will be like, we use a launch monitor technology, and then it has TrackMan software pictured in it. So it's like, even though it's left as unclassified, we know the true story of what's being really used.
And that was when you even think about, like, I see Club Car on here. I don't see Easy Go. It'll, so it's like you have golf professionals probably choosing, one of the two. Why not, there's just not, you're not able to be objective here and write articles or do anything that would benefit the PGA Pro making those decisions, because everything is built on, are they on this sponsorship page? And if they are, they're going to get a positive article.
Yeah, we've definitely talked about that from the aspect of, technology fronts. Like they're doing a disservice to the PGA member in hiding information and telling PGA members that this is the best, or this advertisement says that this is the best. And there's a lot of misinformation out there, and it would hey, let's have a real article written, and somebody that's not objective, and they just, hey, let's see how all these things add up. And you and I know that there's some similarities across some of the technologies, and some have strengths and weaknesses, and but there's a reason that TrackMan is what it is, and there's a reason Foresight is what it is as well. Yep. They're both great technologies, and they both have their strengths indoors and outdoors. And but yeah, again, imagining the 22, 23-year-old PGA professional that wasn't an avid golfer growing up and didn't have a bunch of technology access, and they come out of PGM school to teach, and hey, I just bought this SkyTrack. I hear it's basically as good as TrackMan. That's one of their ads, right? And so like they get duped, and
right.
they learn incorrectly, and you have to make a lot of adjustments and improvisions to be efficient at what you do. And then 10 years later, you get your hands on a TrackMan and go, what the heck was I doing? Like, yeah. If only I'd known what I know now, I'd have been a TrackMan instructor 10 years ago, 20 years ago. So it's, it's a disservice to the PGA member to hide that information and basically be an influencer in the golf industry, which is what it seems like.
And not to do a drive-by on another website, but My Golf Spy, they, a lot of times it has to do with, in my opinion, who's going to give them the free product to test. And, they really position themselves as, oh, we're just, we're running, true test of putters or golf balls, or, they always do a big golf ball test every year. But every article, if when they don't include TrackMan in the article as technology that is leading, even if they want to say Foresight is on the same level, when you don't include TrackMan at all, you immediately throw up red flags in my head of complete bias based on who's paying you.
For sure. They started off great. I used to love My Golf Spy. I would read everything they posted, and very interested. And then, I start working for TrackMan and start seeing the nuances. And this is, this golf ball is great. And it's like, Titleist must not be paying you.
Right.
Sure. That's what you think.
Yeah,
so,
I think the last one, it's like, I mean, they're like, oh, the best golf ball. I mean, I don't know if they picked the Kirkland. It was some off.
I think it was Maxfly.
Maxfly,
right?
Yeah. Which maybe.
So Dick's Sporting Goods paying that money.
Yep. That's so true. And
just a quick, maybe a soundbite, I'll call it, to the point of what are we doing with this? That's what we're doing. You will never see either of us, whether we, have some followers or not. Like, we will never promote anything that we don't truly believe in. And we want the real information for the real golfers, for the ones that are passionate about the game. Like, hey, we tried this. This is great. We tried this. This sucks. Like, you're never going to get a bullshit, a fake answer from us to keep this non-explicit.
And I think also, I mean, we're fine with, Foresight does have pretty good data,
for sure,
and really the same on a lot of shots, as you're getting, when you're down in the wedges and lower irons. but it's the software piece, which
Yeah.
we always talk about.
We'll
It
we'll dive
doesn't
into
compare.
that
Yeah.
on the indoor golf talk a
Well,
little
why don't you
deeper,
why don't
but
you take us there? I mean, barn club, indoor golf. Get us started on this topic.
yeah, well, I think one of the things that we wanted to talk about tonight is, let's say you're an avid golfer and you're in an environment like I'm in, a climate like I'm in, or Austin's in, or maybe you're in Texas or Florida, and the golf season is year round, but you hate the heat. That's why I live in Minnesota. So what do you do during the summer to get out of it? And just dive in from a customer perspective of what you should be looking for, the questions you should be asking about an indoor golf facility. You and I both, my wife, your wife probably sees this all the time. Everything I get on my phone is an ad for an indoor golf facility at some state, some part of the world. Every single one of them is, for the most part, this is the greatest technology, the greatest indoor facility. We're super different in that we do this, and everybody is unique, right? And they're not. every indoor golf facility is an indoor golf facility. Some have really good technology, some don't. Some have other amenities, some don't. And the first question I would always ask, and you'll get generally a good understanding by looking at like social media, is what technology do you use? If they're proud of the technology, they will post it. Very rarely, if they are using TrackMan, will you see them not say that they have TrackMan. People are generally proud of that. And so you usually have to, like, you and I can pick up and others can pick up on, like, oh, that's Full Swing's technology, based off the graphics that we see, or that's Unicore, or that's About Golf. Like we can sense those things or tell those things by the software. You don't always, you don't have that experience of 10 different technologies that you've worked with day in, day out, and can pick those things apart and what's TrackMan, what's not. So yeah, question one, and first thing I'd always look for is what technology are they using? If they're saying state of the art technology, it's probably junk. It's probably going to be a pretty bad simulator experience.
Well, especially
And
if you have to go deep into the website, if it's not very noticeable on
sure.
page one, and if you start going to the technology section, it's like we have the industry leading, tracking simulator device. Like they won't just say the name. It's because they're they've kind of probably have gone cheap to get the facility open.
Yep, for sure. And I mean, you and I both know about this. So let's talk a little bit about why, right? The technology difference from and we'll just categorize all of these kind of together because they're all in the similar boat, like Full Swing, HD, About Golf, Unicore, Golf Zone, like those simulator technologies. I might have missed one or two in there, but those simulator technologies are generally overhead, so they're not giving you really any accurate launch data, which is impactful for how far the ball is going. They're not generally giving you any attack angle data, so like horizon, how the club's entering the ground. Generally can't give you path and face. Some of those can, and even that is going to be a little bit off. But the biggest thing on all of those and Foresight and some of the others out there is the software that Austin alluded to earlier. The software is either a proprietary software that they have. I can tell you, like, HD has 30, 40 courses. So you can run through those pretty quick. I don't think they update those very often, if ever. So you're kind of stuck with that. Maybe you can, bootstrap another software into that and play some other courses. But from a software experience, most of those companies have abysmal graphics. The UI is not very good. The accuracy and how things portray on the screen are, not very good. So I think that's where Foresight excels from a accuracy standpoint. They do well on the ball flight and spin and how far it's going. It does suck that you have to dot up your clubs to get any kind of club data. But they're good to that extent. But what Austin said earlier, software, right? Software looks like Tiger Woods 04 graphics.
Yeah.
Like, it is bad.
When you open up that range, and I know they try to FX play and like all the different things to try to beef it up with Ferris wheels behind the range, and you're hitting in London, or you hit it, it's still and it's very similar. I'll get into in a second my X golf story recently.
Oh, yeah.
But that all kind of ties together in my head of those type of graphics. It seems very, like you said, 1997, 2000 Tiger Woods, where everything kind of looks flat. It doesn't. There's no really depth to the graphics. Maybe they can make it play somewhat not flat, but most of the time the ball will roll pretty straight and flat. It doesn't matter if there should have been a bump there or should have been a hill there. And it's really, when you're thinking about, joining a place or all that, you want to think about, okay, I'm going to interact with this software, an hour or 2 hours at a time. Could be 5 days a week, could be 1 day a week. So you want to make sure that the UI is clean and easy to use, right? Because that's, I mean, especially if you join a private facility, you may not have someone there all
Correct.
the time teaching you how to use the system, and making sure you put the dots on the right spot of the club and all that. So the software, to me, I think the accuracy is really, really important, but for me personally, I think the software is even more important.
Well, for the better than average golfer, the accuracy is important, right? I would say if you're above 15, maybe 20, and you could still try to improve and get better. That's not what I mean by this, but accuracy is less important the higher that handicap goes.
Yeah.
Because the balls, you're not creating enough speed for the ball to be completely accurate every time anyways.
That's why
You're
you
trying
see
to
the
have fun with
ads
some buddies,
like
and
Rapsodo and all those ads that are like, oh, we're 2% within TrackMan, because the person buying that is probably an 18 handicap, maybe 20. And like you said, 2% may not be that much, right? At that distance.
yeah, and you and I both know it's not within 2% on every shot. It's
Right.
maybe 2%
On
within
the best
on
shit,
2% of shots.
Right.
Maybe not. Maybe it's a little better,
Right.
but yeah, I think on the very low end, sub $2,000 launch monitors, like, it's a crapshoot. You may get 10 shots in a row that are exact to what TrackMan spits out, and then you get 5 shots in a row that aren't even in the same quadrant, in the same planet of what the ball actually did. And a lot of what I see, I had this with the full swing kit a few times where we did a head to head. The full swing would show the ball curving left, and TrackMan showed it curving right, and we were watching it in full flight and it curved right. There's something off in some of the algorithms from time to time. It wasn't every shot, that creates that. And one thing that I always allude to in my onboarding sessions with members, I used to in demos and tours, is the fact that TrackMan will not display a data parameter if it's not confident in that measurement outside of like spin rate. I think it has to. But yeah, it, like, if it wasn't confident in your path, it's not going to give you a false path. The ball flight may not be super accurate, but you get that immediate feedback of, oh, that one I just can disregard. I know that the distance was still relatively correct because I know that the spin rate was picked up, and that's accurate within 200 RPMs. I know that the launch angle was picked up, and I know that the ball speed was picked up. So with those 3 metrics, we can tell you how far the ball goes. Anything else is ancillary at that point. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of strengths in why you can trust the higher level technology, and the more expensive technology comes with that higher level, is because it's extremely trustworthy and it's extremely accurate. But then from the TrackMan standpoint, like, the best UI of any software company out or technology out there, the easiest to use, far and above the best support. maybe some people are catching up nowadays to that, but yeah, it's that, and then it's a super easy product to use. So it makes that learning curve a lot shorter, as a member or as an owner of the technology in your home, than it would be if you're using Unicore and you have to click through Unicore software and then GS Pro software and then close this and then calibrate and then that extra 15 clicks can add up, if you're doing it every single time you come in.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, nothing's really proprietary. I mean, if you open a facility or you're trying to join one, you're probably going to, a TrackMan, a Foresight, a Full Swing, a Unicore. The person that owns that facility did not build that technology, right? They have to buy something to basically build this facility, to kind of run the backbone of it. And so nothing's proprietary. It's all just around, okay, are you serving drinks? Are you serving food? Is it member only? Is it private? And so when I went to X Golf recently, I got invited as a tag in for a league night, and facility is really nice. I mean, really, really big, like actual round 360 bar. It's probably a place where people would come and watch a basketball game, play golf, have some drinks. The bay that we were in was really big. It was nice. But then you actually start hitting shots, and the graphics were some of the worst graphics I think I've ever seen in a simulator technology. And I believe X Golf has their own. Like they
They
built
do.
they built
Yep.
their own. They built their own stuff. And so some of the things that people may think, oh, this is awesome, where I wave my club over the thing and the ball pops up off of a tee. Well, when we had to call the guy over 4 or 5 times to get, because the tee's stuck or there's no balls going down, and the motor down there is broken. Like, all that leads to a really poor experience. It may seem really cool on the surface, but once you get into it, and you're actually going to that facility and playing league, so it's just not, it's not the same. So the actual technology was, it just wasn't great, right? I mean, like the accuracy is not there, but the golf courses were flat as can be. I mean,
Yep.
you couldn't tell what was rough, what was fairway, what was bunker. It just looked all the same. So we didn't have really too many missed shots on that round. The next round, my buddy went. They had an entire 9 holes where it didn't pick up their first shot every time, so that they basically
Oh,
had to re-hit every single shot. The guy was over, throughout the entire 9 holes trying to figure it out. So you mentioned the UI and the accuracy, but it's also the consistency,
for
of,
sure.
if you're going to join a place, or, nowadays with prices, if you're going to pay $60 an hour, $40 an hour, and half your shots don't pick up, doesn't matter what, how nice the facility is, right? The technology is what drives these facilities.
For sure. Yeah, and to the point of amenities and what's proprietary to these different facilities, you alluded to that a little. Like, there, anybody can buy a putt view. Anybody can have an app, that gets you logged in, that accesses the door. There's 10 different companies that do different bookings and 24/7 entry, and we have lockers in our facility. Oh, that's, anybody can put a locker in their facility.
Right.
Like, it is. We have TVs. Anybody can put. There's nothing proprietary. There's never a situation where, you go to a facility and they say, "Oh, we're the only ones that do this." It's not true. Anybody can do that. Now, if you're in a smaller town and you only have one facility, yeah, they're the only game in town. Like, that's your option. That's what you got. But I think one of the beautiful things about that is I've seen that, probably 7 to 10 towns here in Minnesota where somebody was like upset that there wasn't a good golf simulator in their smaller town, and they built a TrackMan simulator in that town, and did very well. Like, we're able to either overtake a competitor or convert that competitor to use TrackMan and buy them out, or they just, each serve their purpose well. Like, it is, you can always open your own and create that experience if it's not available. And then another question I would ask each person you call for a membership is, how do I learn how to use this? What's the learning curve? What's the troubleshooting? Like, having an understanding, because things will go wrong, right? Computers are gonna go to sleep. Projectors are not going to be working. The lights might go out. Like, you have to or you may run into a weird spot within the software. Even a very easy UI, sometimes you can hit a wall and get stuck. So it's important that if you go to join a facility, especially a private one, or if you're going to use a public one, do they have somebody on site that helps with trouble, that's knowledgeable on that? I say, something I'm very proud of at the barn is we do an onboarding session with every new member. It's about an hour to an hour and a half long. I just got done with one about an hour ago, and yeah, I cannot sleep at night if I have somebody paying, X dollars a month to use the facility and they have no clue what they're doing. So we run through, I tell everyone, hey, as deep down the rabbit hole as you want to go. There's probably 2 people to 10 people out there that can get nerdier than I can on TrackMan data and what it can do. And so I've had, where we did surface level, this is how you practice, this is the features you can use, this is how you troubleshoot. And then I've gone deep down rabbit holes where we're talking swing radius and D-plane tilt and low point and swing plane and how all these things apply to path. And I mean, yeah, anybody can enjoy it. And that's one of the beautiful things is you can have somebody that's never swung a golf club and they can have just as much fun as the guy that wants to have 42 numbers up and sweating by 12 shots in.
Right.
And they can all have a blast. So, but the important part of that is, if that's going to happen, you have to be educated on the technology. And so I've created some content on YouTube channel as well to just try to help our members. If they get in a weird spot and they want to use a feature, hey, this is how you do it. This is how you can navigate. These are different things that you can use. And I think we'll do a little bit of that on this channel as well for non-barn club members or homeowners, whoever's interested in learning more about functionality and usage on the TrackMan. We'll have some cool tools there to help, but I find that insanely important. Some technologies maybe are a little easier of like, if something goes wrong, you just reopen it, and they tell you that up front. But I think that's important from a customer perspective to ask any facility you're looking to join, how am I going to know how to use this technology, or who am I going to call, or what am I going to do if something goes awry while I'm in here by myself.
And even when you join, you may have joined for, I just want to practice. And so that's what you started with onboarding. But over time that may develop and you may, not only improve, but also now you want to bring in 3 of your business partners to play more golf. And so you want to learn, how does the altitude work in the golf course? How does the slope work when I'm hitting off a flat ground? Like, there's so much involved. And so to have someone, like you, who is around the facility, who owns the facility, who's teaching, who's involved, I think that is almost the proprietary aspect, or the only proprietary aspect of a facility, is to have someone that has that experience or has put in the work to understand what it can do for the end customer. Because I've gone to a few facilities here in Kansas City, and you get kind of the same pitch. Oh, you can practice, you can play golf, you can putt. Okay, but what about a month from now? What about 6 months from, like there has to be more, especially if you're going to pay, a couple $100 or whatever it is a month. You would hope that place would evolve with you, and there would be someone there to kind of guide you as well. And then also that the software would be easy enough to use where you could figure it out yourself, if you are playing around with it. So I think that piece for the barn club really probably makes you stand apart from some of maybe the franchises around there, or some of more of the big box facilities that could be around the Minnesota area.
Yeah, well, and I know we wanted to talk about that, excuse me, at some point. Like most of the members that we have been pretty vocal on the fact that they don't want to be a part of like a big facility, right? Whether that be a corporately owned, private equity, franchise, because they enjoy the small communal aspect of the game of golf, right? I think many of the private clubs that are out there, maybe not nowadays, maybe it's still a higher number, but they're member-owned private clubs, right? And so you have equity in the club. It adds even more value and more communal aspect to that. And it's not the same at the barn, but we want that community. We want a great core group of people that are out helping others and playing in tournaments and engaging and hanging out outside of the doors. I had one of our customers or one of our members went out to dinner together a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, it's the happiest day of my life. Like these guys and gals are going outside of the club, creating friendships, playing golf together on the golf course, and like I said, a lot of them have expressed that a reason why they haven't gone out and joined. There's not really any franchises here in Minnesota. There's I think one maybe, but the reason they hadn't gone and participated at some of those places is because it was owned by a billionaire, or it was there's no community aspect to it. It's just you go in, you rent a bay, and you're gone. And that, piece isn't important for everyone, but, if you are looking to open a facility, it's definitely something to consider, that the passionate golfer, who is generally the paying golfer, is more sensitive to the small business community and the community aspect of it, of a club and things of that nature. So can be super important.
Yeah. And as we kind of get into, I want to look at this from the franchise versus non-franchise, maybe on the owner side. If you're trying to start a facility, I'd love to get your take on, maybe what your take is on the non-franchise side, since that's kind of your background, that's what you do. Give me the pitch on why someone would start a business, not a franchise, and then maybe I'll go on the franchise route and kind of give the opposite view, just to try to see, because there are pros and cons of both,
For sure.
But yeah, I'd love to hear your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, last few days, maybe do open a franchise. No, I think, I come, like, we both kind of come from our points, right? I come from a family of small business owners, yeah, we tried to work as hard as we could and efficiently as we could. And that's how we tried to make a living. Whereas your family comes from the franchise, right? Like, invest in something, it's kind of pre-established. But for me, the reason I wanted to go small business route and non-franchise, one, like, there's nothing that a franchise can offer myself from value perspective, right? I know how to build a simulator bay out. I know the intricacies of opening and running a facility, so I didn't really need any assistance on that front. Finding a location, maybe that could be helpful, but not very hard once you understand that process to get that down. Again, maybe the help from a loan perspective, but I had a different circumstance that allowed for a smoother entry into it. So didn't have to go through the loan, but again, maybe from the franchise perspective, that could be helpful. So I had some circumstances that kind of allowed for that, and then some background that didn't require that. that route. And, not that there's any revenue, but I did not want to give any revenue away. Right. And so the fact that every dollar you make, you're giving 6-7% away of that, not profit, revenue, like that's a tough pill to swallow. So from your perspective, we'll hear it, but I think there's not enough value for myself and really anyone that is willing or has the time. I guess maybe not willing is the right word, but if you have the time to dedicate to learn and dig into the things that go into it and the small nuances, and you don't think that this is just, the ad that you see on Instagram. Oh, you open this business and then you set it and forget it and you're going to make money. Not going to happen. I can tell you that's not going to happen.
There's no mailbox money in this industry.
No. Golfers are a different breed. They are needy. So you are going to have to be there helping, or hire somebody. But no, it is, there wasn't any value in it for me from that perspective. And then I don't fall for the gimmicks of we have this proprietary thing and we're the only ones that can do this. Again, just from having the knowledge of doing this for so long, I know that that's erroneous. There's nothing proprietary in this industry, outside of the actual TrackMan technology that TrackMan owns, but anybody can buy that. So, but yeah, give me the franchise perspective.
Yeah, I think the franchise, and you're seeing 2 to 4 maybe larger players or trying to be larger players right now. And of course, they all say they have proprietary technology. They're the first to ever do it. There's no one that's done it like them. The whole selling point. Most of them are 7 to 10% of your revenue off the top. I think 2 to 3% may go to ad revenue you have to spend, and the rest to royalties. Plus, you're spending anywhere from 40 to probably 80 grand initiation or upfront to even get in the door. So if you have the money and maybe you're working a full-time job, or you are a business guy that has, like my dad used to have different franchises that he already owns and operates, it may make sense to shorten the learning curve and essentially just say, okay, whatever you guys tell me to do, you've already figured it out based on, whether it's a certain franchise that likes, to have putting or likes to have fitness equipment or wants more of a party, like whatever that is what you're looking for, then you follow that lead and you just kind of go with what they say. There's no uniqueness. You don't get to put your own spin on it. But if you don't have the time and energy, like you just mentioned, to actually learn it and start from the ground and, okay, I'm going to pick my door lock technology. I'm going to pick what software I'm using to check people in and out or sign up members. Oh, now I have to talk to contractors, like all that. Then I think a franchise could be a good option. The thing that I think it could be good up front. My worry with franchises is that as it goes on, that royalty never stops, right? That 7%, 8% never stops. And then you also, you're going to lose some of that initial push from the franchise owners. You may get that up front. They're excited. They just signed a new franchise. They come out, they do some marketing. But at some point you're going to have to get into the facility and learn it yourself, right? I think it's a shortcut to.
It's a good point.
Yeah, it's a shortcut to get it open. Because I mean, you're at TrackMan for a long time. How much goes into a bay? The right sizing. Where does the mat go? Where does the projector go? What type of screen? There's a million decisions, and I'm thinking of even someone like my dad who's in the business now, like. No idea, probably no idea of like all those little decisions, right? That you obviously knew just from being in the industry, but someone that joins a franchise can say, okay, that $50K that I'm paying you, that's kind of, I want to take your knowledge and I want to get this thing open very quickly. So that would be my selling point for a franchise. If you want to get it open quickly and maybe expand quickly, maybe you have a bunch of money that is willing to kind of get this thing up and running very quickly. The only other thing is that if you maybe are near where the franchise started, it could be a benefit to you because you're drafting off of the corporate stores, you're drafting off of all of those owners that maybe live there. As soon as you get to these random areas where, you might as well just have a random name, it doesn't matter. You're essentially paying 7% for a name that has no relevance in that other state or community, with the hope that they will grow and grow and grow, and then eventually it'll be a household name, and you'll get that marketing. So yeah, that's
one other concern that I would have, and we've seen this with a company, and we won't mention any names, but what if you invest in something you believe in, they use the technology that you believe in, and then a decision's made at the corporate level that technology partner is changing, and now a very inferior technology is replacing that. We had that with a buddy of ours that was trying to open something. He's 3 kids, very busy, and wanted to invest in a facility. He went to a company and they had changed technology, and he's like, well, can I still do it with this? No, we're not interested, and we already have your market saturated anyways. And like, what happens, right? Like, are you forced to keep that or drop that technology and swap to the new technology partner? Is there a time limit on how long you can keep the existing technology? Like, some of those corporate decisions can trickle down and affect you, and not in a great way. And meanwhile, like, you're still paying that percentage. Your numbers may be cut in half, and now you're basically paying somebody and losing money.
Yep.
It could turn into a travesty really quickly. So I would, that's another part of my fear looking into some of those is seeing that happen in real life, and then going, man, like, if my buddy did this and that happened, what would happen? Like, what do you do? Because obviously, we're not trying to open a X facility. We're trying to open a TrackMan facility.
Right.
We want to play golf together from afar. That's our benefit of all opening a facility.
Right.
So, that's something else to just be wary of as you're looking into some of these things.
Yeah, and like you said, even if maybe that franchise started small, they've taken on other investments or they've grown and now they get bought out by a private equity or another company that has no ties to, your area or that technology. And now all of a sudden you have no support, or you're not getting the marketing that you were getting. So there's a ton of reasons, I think, to spend the extra time and not go the franchise route. It's definitely right for certain people, and
For
but
sure.
I will be interested to see in the next, I don't know, 5 years, kind of who's left standing from these. You have 4 or 5 that are trying to push it right now and really really grow quickly, and I wonder when that's going to kind of pop.
Well, so here's my fun question I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
10 years. So 2036. What does the golf industry look like? Not indoor golf, not outdoor golf, just the golf industry. Like, what do you expect to see based on what we see today?
In just in general, like, not even indoor golf, could be anything.
Anything. Just like, how is the game going to be played? Is it, based on the trends that we see, accessibility for the average golfer or for the passionate golfer that, doesn't have $150,000 to put down on initiation, or, $300 around plus $800 in flights and $700 in hotels and blah, blah, blah. Like, what ultimately do we see happening in the golf world?
I mean, I think the next 5 to 10 years, there will be more and more people playing indoors. Um, but there's going to be a large gap between there's going to be people playing indoors, and then there's still going to be the abandoned, and because that is what's being built right now is every far off resort that okay, I can save up once a year, and like you just said, we're going to pay $7,000 to get there and do everything and play and stay for a week, but that middle tier private club is probably going to be, I think, dead in like 10 to 15 years, because that price that they're charging now at some point will catch up with them. They're not providing enough value to charge someone 50, 60, 70K initiation plus 800 a month, 900 a month for a club that in 2020 or 2019 was 5K to join and 200 a month, but now I think at some point I don't know if it's the economy has to crash or something will crash where that middle tier club is essentially going to, I think, die, and you're either going to have to really evaluate like, okay, how's the service at the club? Do we have technology? Do we have a short course? Do we have other things that get people engaged rather than, we have a pool and tennis courts? Because that's going to go away. You're still going to have your high end resorts, but I think you'll probably have just with the top 2 to 3 indoor facility like franchises in the next 10 years, they'll probably have, I don't know, 200 locations each. It's spread out throughout the country. Is that too crazy? Like that many locations?
How many McDonald's are there?
Right.
No, I agree on a lot of those. I think it's just going to eventually catch up, and either you're going to, like you said, you're going to see a mass exodus of the Middle Ground Country Club. And hopefully if that does happen, you get a lot more of the parks, you get some private interests, they're passionate about the game and want to grow it at a junior level, investing, redesigning and opening that for communities. Right. And so that's one thing I see is, I think that there's enough really good people in the game of golf that have money, that are interested in sharing that with the next generation. And so I think you'll see more and more projects like that, just take either an old junk municipal that didn't make it, or, a middle ground country club that just wasn't able to keep up, and turn it into something really special. But I also think that you're going to see, similar to what you said, more and more indoor and more like the driving ranch or the golf ranch that you talked about. I think those two concepts are truly the future of the game. In my conversations with a lot of people, they're pumped to go out and play over the summer. And they're probably going to forget about the indoor space until, the next snow in October, November of later this year. But there are a handful of people, a few more, that, are really excited about coming in over the summer and practicing in the bays, getting their data before a round of golf, at night, whatever it is, or playing with a buddy that's across the country, that it's too hot for them to play outdoors, and now they can get into a sim bay, both of them at 8 o'clock at night and play around from afar. So I think if you see a more community aspect from the online world, we are campaigning to get more than 2 locations in a live online match. That is goal number 1, TrackMan, just a heads up. But I think once you see that live feature and online feature take off, maybe more of the video game-esque lobbies and playing with random people. My dream is still to play with somebody in Korea at like 2 a.m. I will have that dream until it happens, guaranteed. But I think that is what's going to enhance the game next. I think you're going to have this ability to go in, play golf. I think it's going to get better virtually, more fully immersive. Maybe you have, augmented reality glasses that are coming down the road where you feel like you're there. I just think it's going to continue getting better. And having taught indoors and work for TrackMan and now owning a facility for the last 18 years, like I've been indoors a lot and I've seen people go from crazy high handicaps to crazy low handicaps. I've seen people grow their passion for the game. I get to day in and day out watch people like all over the memorabilia we have in the club and like just start to like watch their heart grow like the Grinch and love the game a little bit more. So I think if you have that community aspect, I think you're going to see a huge boom in that because it's much more affordable. There's way less land that you're dealing with. Costs are way lower. And yeah, you can go play, my joke the other day, like you're a member at 450 clubs.
Right.
You anywhere you want to play, you can play.
And you don't have to wait on anyone or you can play at your own pace. And that's the, you mentioned it, the affordability, but even joining a private indoor golf club is going to be way less expensive than trying to join an outdoor one. And if you don't join an outdoor one in a situation like I'm in, where, it's going to be 80 degrees this Saturday, trying to play golf, there's not a tee time anywhere around but before 4 o'clock on Saturday, Sunday. And so
Yep.
in my mind, I'm like, if I was a member at an indoor club, I'd much rather go there, spend 2 hours. I still have my full Saturday. I'm not battling the Barstool crowd or whatever's out at the facility on Saturday.
The old man that is pushing you, and you're like, dude, I'm if I hit my shot,
right.
I'm going into this group in front of me. Sorry.
I mean, it's going to be a 5.5 hour round. When you get a really nice day like this, and the quality is still not going to be there. You're still paying probably $80 for the lowest public round around here, and I'd much rather pay a couple $100 a month and it's your place. You can be by yourself, you can grind, or you can play with your buddies online. That's I think where the majority of people are going to move to. And I still think there's room for 12-hole short course, like something on that. And I do need to respond to our comment that we had regarding the park as well on our YouTube channel. Talking about how the park is not accessible, not affordable. The key difference there is that we would like to see places be accessible for the people of that community. That's what we're talking about. It doesn't need to be accessible for us traveling in. If we're flying in and doing all that, or if you're doing the Bandon or doing all that, of course it's going to be more expensive. That's to help subsidize, so that way that 15-year-old kid that lives in West Palm or around the area or is a part of some program can play for $20 or $50. Like that's the whole point of charging higher price for out of towners. Like that's how they do it over in Scotland, and that's how it should be done here. But obviously there's people that think just because you live in America, every place should be the same price for you no matter what. And I just think that's where we have to get away from.
Well, I think part of that response is, maybe pent up frustration of like, the game of golf is crazy expensive. We complain about it all the time.
Yep.
And to your point of like clubs that a couple years ago had no initiation, or, they were doing ads like, hey, if two of you join, there's no initiation or all kinds of crazy deals. And now that same club's charging 40, 30, 50 grand initiation and $900 a month membership dues. Like, what has happened? So I can understand some of the perplexity there of like, it's expensive for me, which is all I care about. Right. Now, if they built something like that in Minnesota and, Hennepin County members had access, and it was, for my son, $20 to go play, I am jacked up. And please charge the guy from St. Paul or from Wisconsin. We have 500 for Wisconsin. We don't care.
Right.
Charge as much as you want for people traveling, but yeah, support the local community. Make it, and it doesn't have to be local community adults. Like, hey, you could still pay $100 and go play a unbelievable, well designed, well thought out, laid out, planned golf course. It's $100. But if you're from Wisconsin, it's $300. Like, so you're getting a deal like that.
Yep.
That's support the community. We have to grow the game for the future. I talked, and maybe we talked about this a few episodes ago, but talked with a few PGA professionals, and we're about to lose, I think, 50 to 70% of the industry in the next 10 years to retirement. And like, how are we going to replace a lot of those people with PGA professionals at some of these clubs? And I don't mean the top 100 clubs. I mean those mid-level or decently, maintained private or public courses and some resorts. Like, how are you going to staff those with golf passionate, knowledgeable people? The only way is to grow that at a very young level. So I think that's where I'm maybe optimistic and not realistic in my vision for 10 years, that we see more park concepts and Scotland style or Ireland style golf over here. But the one thing I'm very optimistic about is the indoor space. I think is just going to continue growing in popularity. From a customer standpoint, I think, like you're saying, you're going to see more and more franchises and, maybe not as many small businesses. But based on the ads I've seen, maybe that's a good thing.
Right.
Maybe it's a good thing that there's some of these, well thought out and, maybe originally well-intentioned facilities to help people get better, because some of the jokes I see out there, it's like, just, yeah, good luck. Like, go pay your $40, do it one time, and then we'll see you in a week when you want to join, because you realized that it just wasn't what you wanted.
Yeah.
And it may fit the bill for some, to your point. Like, some people may not care about that, but, the passionate golfer, the barn's here for you. We welcome you.
Come on, come all.
100%.
Awesome. Well, I think that was I'm really interested to see what happens with franchises in the next 10, 15 years. I think, just getting even a little bit off topic of that, with all the AI stuff and all that, like there's going to be a push to more unique, like custom experiences, and not just run you through this AI, onboarding because the franchise decided that they were going to do this. And, you never talk to a human, and there's no artifacts on the wall. It's very sterile. I think there's going to be a push back to more of what you have, which is old history, and you're talking to the owner, and you're actually becoming a real life human with someone again. And I do think there will be a push of those. But right now, all the money is going towards, the big box, like the franchise that has all the tech and all that, at least the investment money.
Very, very interesting that you brought that up, because I've had this conversation, and there is a certain demographic that's what they want. We talked about this with like single bay versus multi bay facilities. There's some people that they want to go into a bay by themselves. They want to throw their AirPods in or some music on, and they just want to bang balls without having to interact with a human, right? Maybe it's fine for them to talk with somebody and learn and get all the details of how to access and turn it on, blah, blah, blah. But then they go, this is my space. Like, this is how I get away from my kids or my job or, whatever it is. And they want that. So there may be some advantage to that for some people, but I'm a big community guy, and I've seen some of our members who I thought were maybe a little more introverted and didn't want to engage and talk. They just want to come in and practice. And those are the people I enjoy talking to the most. Like, they have super interesting ideas about the game of golf and the swing and professional game. And, some of the best conversations are the ones that I thought, like, this guy hates me. He doesn't want me in this facility. And he wants to bang balls by himself. And you talk a little and you're like, wow, I didn't realize you were that nerdy. Like, let's dive into this. Let's answer some of those questions. And, maybe those people stick around a little longer because you're having that conversation. But, it's going to be interesting. Like, is the AI wave, appealing to a certain demographic, and the more community wave is appealing to a different demographic, and they're both able to succeed. Small business versus franchise. Do people even care? Probably not. As long as the technology is good and things are accessible and the price is affordable, great.
Right.
Like that, So, there's a lot of intricacies to it, but I think our goal today, in answer, or just discussing some of these questions and things to think about as you go in and look out for. It's just to help you be more educated as, the idea pops in your head to go try indoor golf or join a place. And, we hope that, you find something great and keep it going.
Love it. I think to wrap us up, a different type of indoor golf, TGL. What's your thought about TGL at the moment?
I was trying to come up with something that started with TG and L. It is a joke. I watched two matches last year. I saw probably 3 or 4 shots that didn't match up with what it looked like they did or what they normally do on the golf course. I saw probably, 8 to 10 like head drops. That's not what happened. Pissed off. I saw probably 20 inaccurate ball rollouts. And I saw very lackluster fan base that, appeared to be there because they were paid to be there. So I lost interest very quickly. I think that, I think unless they actually listen to the fans, it's going to be a failed experiment in the next 2 years. You can only throw money at something so long, and absolutely nobody cares about it. I'm trying to keep it non-explicit. Nobody cares about it. Right. And you can't sustain it for long. I think they missed the mark on the women's and men's aspect. I think you pair them up. Maybe the women can have, 1 or 2 tournaments a month or matches a month that are women only. But I think you miss the mark on like the only thing people have been asking for, to enhance the women's game the last 10 years is mixed tournaments. Right. The Olympics are doing it. Why can't this flippin' junk indoor golf simulator league do it? Craig Kessler, you should just give up, bud. If you can't get these ideas through, maybe you're doing some good things. I don't know.
It's so frustrating that the actual facility, it's everything I've heard. It's impressive when you're in there, and
looks impressive.
And then they decide to use not the worst full swing technology, not even like the flagship full swing technology. They use the one that is obviously, but I got on this Twitter thread the other day that people were arguing because apparently they use full swing kit behind, which everyone sees, like a whole row of them. And then they use Top Tracer to track the ball. And they're like, that's the best of both worlds. In what world are we talking about? That's the best of both worlds. Those are two of the worst of the worlds of that we're talking about.
Let's also talk about the fact that they have what looks like 8 full swing kits duct taped to a pole behind them. Like, give me a flipping break.
Like, what would the 8? Yeah, I mean, in the first year, I've really lost interest. The second year, they've obviously turned on all the hole out analytics or whatever, or the algorithm, because now all of a sudden there's about 3 hole-in-ones a night, it feels like. And in the first year there was none of that. But the first year, that up tee box where they hit like 80-yard shots and in was insane inaccurate. Like, they were hitting, they were flying. I mean, Tiger flew a 100-yard shot like 130 yards over the green. And immediately knew. And you can tell. You see the guys. They don't want to say anything because Tiger is there. It's his partnership or his ownership in full swing. Yeah. They don't want to say anything, but that they're pissed because they just hit a wedge 30 yards farther than they normally do. So I actually like I think it's harmless TV. Like, if they would if they would ever put it on a consistent time where I know it's starting, I literally have no idea when the thing starts. One day it's Monday at 3 p.m. The next day it's Tuesday at 7. Then it's Wednesday at 9. And I'm like, dude, I have a job. I can't watch this thing at Monday at 3 p.m. Like, you got to put it on prime time.
For sure. I mean, they also missed the mark on the teams, right? Like, oh, Rory, you're Irish. You're the Boston captain. Like, make it a draft.
Had to do a draft.
Make it somewhat, like you're rooting for your city, because right now you're like, oh, I like Tiger. I'm gonna root for Jupiter. I don't even know the teams. Like, that's how it all works right now, and none of it makes sense. Nobody cares. There's no passion. Like, it's just like you said, it's harmless TV. It's easy to watch. It's easy to digest. You do get to see some big names, play golf on off times that you normally wouldn't get to see them. I see the allure, but as somebody that like owns an indoor golf facility and interacts with indoor golf every day, watching that is an embarrassment. And it honestly somewhat makes the indoor golf look bad. Like, there's some people that probably out there believe all indoor golf sucks because of how bad TGL is. Or they've always had this, notion that they hit it way further, but indoor golf is against them. And now, Tiger hits it way further than what he's seeing in there. Like, it's confirming their biases, and maybe putting which is why I'm so harsh on it, right? Is like, I see some of the potential negatives for the indoor space is like, hey, we address this, please, or just get rid of it, because what you're doing right now, it just doesn't seem to be good.
The two things we talked about, the software and the technology, they missed on both of those. And those are the reason why people go to certain facilities and pick that's what we've been talking about for the last hour, is how to pick an indoor golf facility based on those two. I think the real grass is awesome. I think the bunker is great. I even think the putting green's awesome, how that moves. It's been fun to see them try to figure out how to chip against the certain grain of the artificial turf, and that all I think is great. But how do you miss on the technology and the graphics? Like, that is, I mean, I know the answer because Tiger is the part owner of the company, and
for sure,
this is really a money distribution effort.
It's another paid ad.
Yep, it is, and that's why they don't have a draft, and all of a sudden, oh, sorry, Tom Kim can't play today because he just doesn't want to, so we'll just get another guy. It's like it doesn't matter. But and then they're also stuck. Like, Tom Kim treats it more serious than major championships, currently. But then some guys don't, and then some of the holes are, Ferris wheels and like random stuff, and then some of the designers try to make real golf holes. It's like they need to pick a lane, and I think, like, go back with TrackMan, or and get real golf holes, and if you want to, I think it could be a pretty fun, like, but also serious competition. And now they're kind of stuck in the middle of bad technology, some weird holes, some good holes, and yeah.
Yeah, I like what they've tried this year because I haven't watched any, but I've seen it on like social media stuff. The punch shot hole with the cave, and there's some cool premises in there. But like you said, like to have a real golf hole and then followed up by this, Mickey Mouse looking hole, like stay in your lane. Like, hey, today we're playing 9 holes of Funland, and then 9 holes at Augusta or Marion or whatever. Like,
I would
give it
love to hear
something.
that. I would love to hear their conversations of, oh, we played, whatever, the old course or whatever is in TrackMan software that they've played recently. I know that this bump does this, or that, if I hit it here, it'll funnel back. And then to see that happen, that would be really, really cool to see.
Yep. And that is, that's one of the things that, if I get somebody that is passionate or loves the game or is a better handicap, like I'll talk to them about, hey, the ball will react appropriately in the software. You'll have an aha moment at one point where there's a course you played, you're playing it, you hit the same shot, and that ball reacts the same way, and you go, whoa, like this is legit.
Yeah.
It's happened to me 2 or 3 times now where it's just the exact same thing that I was expecting and have seen in real life happens, and you go, okay, like I believe it now. And so yeah, to have that aha moment from a professional level and somebody that can tell the difference of a single wrap and a double wrap, can tell if it's crossed in the wrap, like that level of nuance, for them to see the excitement of, wow, that thing did exactly what I expected it to do, versus every shot looking like a crybaby because the ball didn't go exactly where it should have.
Right.
Which is frustrating, I get.
Yeah.
And you can't say anything or you're going to be kicked out of the league and put into the gulag. So, and maybe kicked out of the top 125. Who knows what the rules are nowadays, but, yeah. No frustration, just
no, not at all.
just pure honest beliefs.
Love it. As we move to wrap here, anything else on TGL that we didn't cover? And like you said, I haven't watched much. You haven't watched much. Maybe we'll watch next season. Maybe not. I think they have to change the technology if I'm going to watch at all.
They've lost me pretty much completely. And unless they figure out and go, hey, we're going to actually do men's and women's co-ed teams or something, I will never, I won't follow them on Instagram. Also, I would like to throw a questionnaire out there. Maybe we'll figure out a way to like post something on this, but does anyone actually watch TGL that isn't paid? Like, is there somebody that's a non-influencer that enjoys watching, that sits down, that has bought, a Jupiter Lynx golf ball or hat? I'm truly, genuinely curious what type of people that aren't being paid to watch that. Maybe you're out there, maybe you have your reasons, maybe you're truly a fan. Are you over the age of 18 and actually enjoy it is my question.
Probably not.
Probably not. I will say, sadly, I have a Boston Commons golf ball. It looks brand new. It looks like I bought it, but I found it in the rough on a golf course. So,
someone out there bought a
somebody bought it, and I will proudly display that. And if anybody ever asks if I'm a fan, I will say absolutely not. But I think that logo is pretty slick, so I'm gonna keep it.
If anyone wants to buy me some Bay Club, I don't even know what it's called anymore. Bay Area Club, Bay Club,
Ludwig.
Yeah, I'm not going to purchase that myself, but if anyone wants to send it my way, go ahead.
I'm sure. Okay, well, I won't say that, but yeah,
love it.
Love it.
I think that's it for the night. I think
I will say I did not think we were going to get to 2 hours not talking golf trips. So right. I can't believe we're this opinionated to have this many ideas and talk for this long.
This is scary stuff here.
This is, but One final note from me. Our first 4, 5, 6 episodes, whatever we have all been golf trip related. We still have more golf trip information and tips and fun stories to share. But today we wanted to get away from the golf trip, kind of show you what a general segment's going to look like. We do want to talk a lot more about indoor golf, and I think, a longer term vision for us is we want to help people on the indoor golf space. Austin's trying to open one. Our buddy Miles is trying to open one. I have a handful of other people that have reached out recently and looking to open something. How can we create a community of indoor golf clubs where we're all successful, we're all having a good time, and we're all starting off on the right foot without having to pay somebody $50,000 to start on that foot. And give away those royalties over time. So, I think, as we continue, there's going to be a lot more of, how did the Barn Club come about? What is Austin doing on his indoor facility, plans and, other buddies and things of that nature. So, keep diving in that direction. We'll keep bringing up, fun topics. We'll keep bashing TGL until they change, if ever. We'll keep bashing the PGA until they change, if ever. But it's going to be fun.
Love it. Well, enjoyed the 2+ hours with you, and we'll catch you next time.
Absolutely. Later.
Later.